Of course, you always have to wait for the first one of the year. It's like the machine's just getting warmed up. Anyway, we're here. Let's take the Christmas decorations down. I can do that very easily. He says very easily. How do you do that? Media assets. There we go. Boom. Christmas decorations down. Let's hit another button and then we'll start. Yeah. Go!
It's the start of the week. Grab your coffee cups. It's Magic Monday Live.
Hello, everybody. Happy New Year! I have got a great Magic Monday Live for you today. I should have. I've had 2 weeks off. What have I been doing? Been doing very little. That's what I've been doing. That's not true. Of course, I've been doing stuff. I've been doing all sorts of stuff. But actually, in terms of work, very, very little. I had a good 2.5 weeks off. This is my first official piece of work for 2.5 weeks. And what a lovely way to come back, doing a Magic Monday and sharing a few ideas. So as always, I'm trying to do this using two cameras simultaneously. And I could have remembered a little bit better to put that one up there. So that's for Instagram people. There we are. How's that? That's a little bit better, isn't it? I hope you've had a brilliant Christmas time. I hope that your new year is going well so far. 2026. No matter how many times you say it, it's one of those things, it just feels just crazy, doesn't it? 2026 already. But it's going to be a brilliant year, and I did a piece of research on LinkedIn and I asked people about their thoughts on 2025, and it is, was it a brilliant year or was it thank goodness it's finished? And about 2/3 of people went for thank goodness it's finished. That says a lot about 2025. So what's the plan for 2026? Well, it certainly isn't going to be to set New Year's resolutions, because as we all know, they just don't work. So what could we do instead? Well, I've decided I'm going to change a few things about the way that I work. I've written them down here because I find these days, if I write something down, I'm much more likely to remember it. So I write things down a lot. Nothing wrong with that. I think it's a good thing to do, to write things down. Oh, has my head gone too big on Instagram? It's all right. But it is lovely when you have an opportunity just to sit and do some scribble and do some writing. And I think your brain works in a different way. As soon as you get a pencil in your hand or a pen in your hand, you start writing things down. It is really interesting what happens in there and how the connections start to grow. So last week, between Christmas and New Year, I was just scribbling down a few ideas. And one of the things I said was, I do enjoy creating content, but sometimes I create unnecessary pressure for myself because of the volume of content. Now, I'm not one of these people who posts on Instagram 9 times a day and LinkedIn 4 times a day and Facebook 20 times a day and all that type of stuff. I do my best to be thoughtful about what I post. But in order to do that, the other thing that happens is that you end up just skimming the surface of some quite important issues and some quite important things. And I did a little sort of straw poll. I basically emailed 20 people and said, and what I did was I went through, I have a great database system and it tells me who's opened stuff. So I went through 20 people who've opened everything in the last 12 months. So everything I've sent out, they've opened and I think read. And then they must have, because out of those 20 people, 18 responded, which was just lovely. And I said, I'm thinking about changing how I do my newsletters a little bit. So my plan is this. What do you think? And 18 people who responded, 16 said they thought it was a great idea. 2 had other ideas for me to do, which if I had more time, I would do those things. And 2 didn't respond. That's fine. They're probably off. Still opened it though. Notice that. So anyway, my plan for this year is to test out this idea. So on Magic Monday, I'm going to bring up sort of a theme for the week, an idea for the whole week. And I'm going to talk a little bit about it on Magic Monday Live. Then on Thursday, when my newsletter goes out, I am going to have a bit more detail about it. So there's a written form, maybe 300 to 400 words. And then I'm also going to test out doing a Substack. And I'm going to go into quite a bit more detail in the Substack. Now, that's the one that's the hard work, because you have to write a lot. And at the moment, I think I've got about 7 followers on Substack. So it's going to be a bit of a test to see if writing long-form content on Substack does work. I know there's a lot of people talking about Substack at the moment. Is it a good thing to do? But I'm going to go a bit deeper into it and then maybe have that for the weekend. I might do it on this Thursday at the same time. Then people can click a link and go and visit the Substack version. Something like that. So I'm going to test it all out in the next 4 or 5 weeks and I will let you know. So my theme this week is leaving one thing behind and carrying one thing forward. So imagine this, right? You're going to one of those fantastic buffets, beautiful buffet. Oh, amazing. But you can only fill your plate once. Remember Pizza Hut used to do this. And people used to do elaborate things where they would put cucumber around the edge so you could really fill it up. But eventually you get to the point where your plate is full and then you see something else that you really want. And you're looking and you're going, oh my goodness. I really want... So you try and put something else on the top. And if it's something like a meatball, it's going to fall off, isn't it? It's going to go booling away, and we don't want that. So the idea is that you would remove something so that there's space for the meatball, for the thing that you really want. Remove something you don't want so there's space for something that you do want. And I've talked about this a lot in the past. It's like when people say, I can't stop smoking. That's the classic one. I can't stop smoking because if I do, I put weight on. And it's not because you stopped smoking, it's because you took up Mars bars. That's what happened. So if you take something out of your life, you need to replace it with something else. So I've got a few ideas of things that you might want to take out and things that you may want to replace them with. So I've written down 5. I'm going to share them with you. So I think the first thing is to look at a habit. So this is something you do habitually. In other words, something you do without much thought. And my question would be to you is one habit to strengthen, not to start, one habit to soften. Now, I was going to say one habit to start and one habit to remove, but actually too much. This list is all about making stuff achievable. So one habit that you want to strengthen and one habit that you want to soften. So I'm going to tell you mine. So my one habit to strengthen is going to be my daily workouts, because they're not been daily, or they haven't been daily over the last few weeks, and for various reasons. And I have this thing, it takes 20 minutes to do in a day, and it's amazing the excuses you can think of for not doing your 20-minute workout. So my habit to strengthen is going to be my daily workout. One habit to soften is going to be putting things off that are in terms of writing. So I've got a few writing projects. And I noticed when I went through my diary for the last 3 months of the year, I've been procrastinating with my writing. Anybody who's done Write That Book knows that? Yes, we all do it. I put the pro in procrastination. So my thing to soften is going to be not to kind of go, I'm going to write every day, but I am going to write. I'm going to beat the week. That's my plan. So 4 times a week, I will sit down to write. So my next one is one belief to trust. So this is going forward. One belief to trust. So our core beliefs are very, very important. I think so. I really do think so. And I think these days what tends to happen is that our core beliefs get challenged all the time, and we forget what we believe in and why we believe in it. So I'm going to focus on a belief to trust, and I'm going to question one belief that I've had in the past. So my belief to trust is that most people are good. I'm going to start off, as always, with all people are good. That's the thing. I have this belief that all people are good, and I'm going to really trust in that. So my starting point always is that people are good. And a belief to question is that I can't lose weight. So I've been around about the same weight now for the last 7 or 8 years. And I did do a thing about 7 or 8 years ago where I lost 2 stones, and I've bobbed around this area. And I kind of think, oh, is that just my set weight now? So my belief to question is about could I lose a stone in the next 3 months? So if 3 months' time, if you're watching this and I'm suddenly like this, you've done it. I probably need to do more than a stone to do that. But anyway, that's the next one. Next one is one relationship that you are going to cultivate and one that you need to rebalance. Now, I was going to say one to lose, to get rid of, but I think it's about rebalancing. So maybe, because I've done this before when I've coached people and they've had maybe a toxic relationship. I've just said, can you not just cut them off? And then they cut them off and it ends up being worse than it was beforehand. All sorts of things happen. So I've decided to reframe that as rebalance. So one relationship to cultivate and one to rebalance. So my relationship to cultivate, it's actually relationships, is male friends. So I've got some fantastic male friends, but I don't spend enough one-to-one time with them. And the thing that made me think about this is I've got a brilliant friend called Richard Nugent. And we do a lads' lunch, and probably about once every 6 months, we go out and we have a lunch. And we always have one before Christmas. Guess what? We didn't do the one before Christmas this year. And I really missed it. I really missed that time with Richard, just chatting and having a glass of something. And so we're doing it in January, which will be great. We're doing it later on this week, which is absolutely fantastic. But I thought I need to lean into these relationships and cultivate them more. And the one to rebalance, I'm not going to tell you because it might be a little bit unfair. But there is something that's a little bit out of balance, one of my relationships, and I'm going to fix that, definitely. Okay, next thing is one thing to simplify. Okay, so is there one thing that you can simplify in your life and one thing that you can add detail to? All right, so I know are they the same? I don't think so. In my head, they're not. So one thing that you're going to make simpler and one thing that you're going to add detail to, which probably might add a bit of complexity. But that's okay. So the thing that I'm going to make simpler is going to be the way that I work. At the moment, I do multiple different things. So I'm focused on a bit of this, a bit of this, a bit of this, and a bit of this. I've decided I'm going to cut out a few things and simplify my message, what I stand for, what I'm about, who I am, that type of thing. And the one thing that I'm going to add more detail to is a hobby. So I have a hobby where I make things out of wood. I wouldn't say I was a joiner by any stretch of the imagination. But over the last few months, I've done a few things. And I've got a new project, which is to build a TV cabinet for my mum. So my brilliant brother said, why don't we get mum a new TV for her birthday? It was going to be a secret, but she knows about it now because we had to measure up. So she does know she's getting a new TV for her birthday. But the slight challenge was my mum loves the TV she has at the moment because it's in a cabinet. And she likes to put stuff on top of the cabinet. You get a new TV, suddenly you've not got a cabinet, or you have got a cabinet, but you can't get the right size. Lots of problems. So I said, I'll make one. And then you can have the bit on the top where you put, cards from family and bits and bobs and all the stuff that she has up on there. And then I thought about a really simple way to do it. And I thought, actually, this is going to be there for some time. So it'll be my mum's lounge. It's going to be looking at it for some time. So I've decided I'm going to do something with a little bit more detail than I normally would. And I've got until the 22nd of January to have it made and completed. So that's mine. And then the next one is a promise that you keep making, but this time you're going to keep it. So a promise that you will absolutely see through. And then also an expectation to release, to let go of. So the promise that I'm going to make is that I promise. Is it that way? Is that the way they do it? Yeah. I promise that this year I will do new content every week for 52 weeks. New content. So that's quite a big promise to me to say. And it's one of those true will things where I say, oh, that's a lot. But if I promise it, if I say it out loud, it means I'm going to have less chance of going back to some old stuff. So I'm looking at creating new content. It might be old ideas, but with new content. And an expectation to release is that I'm going to keep my promises. No, I'm only kidding. No, my expectation to release is that I'm going to stop expecting other people to behave in the same way that I do. It's crazy, isn't it? Why do we do this? We expect other people to have the same standards as ourselves. If you ever want to be disappointed, expect other people to have the same standards as you. It's crazy. I'm going to lower those expectations on other people. So expectation is that everyone will just be who they are. That's my expectation. Just believe that everyone's doing their best, and let's just go from there. Okay, so that's my first Magic Monday Live. Shall we see who's here? I think we have some people who are visitors. So Fiona Setcher's here. Hello, Michael. Happy New Year. Have a wonderful start to your 2026. Really like your new ideas. Thank you. Matthew Bird. Hi, Michael. And a very happy New Year 2026. Matthew's here from the Land of Smiles, which is Thailand. Mike Fatchety. Henley Santa, storyteller, author. Must start the softening soon. Mike, I hope you had a good Christmas season. Being Santa. And here's Ruth Adams. Hello from a very snowy Sutherland. Ooh, happy 2026 to you all. Some excellent thoughts to consider. It's been snowing here today, which is nice. We've got a few people here. Speaking of Substack, I follow John Turod on it, and his latest newsletter, he gives you a huge compliment. Think he's reading one of your books now. Thank you very much. Thank you for letting me know. Do you know, I will have a little look at that. I've got to know John over the last few months. He's an extraordinary person. I'm not going to get into any of the politics stuff about what's happened to him, but, you know, getting to know him personally, he's an amazing, amazing person. And his wife, Lisa Faulkner, is super special. So Lisa, here's a little plug for Lisa. Lisa is going to start a new stage play. She starts on this Friday in Brighton. And it's the stage version of Single White Female. And she plays one of the leads in that. And it's going on tour all around the UK. Get a ticket, go and see it. I've heard a little bit about it. It sounds absolutely magical and brilliant. Let's have a little look here. Who else is saying stuff? So some nice little messages. Thank you for the people on Instagram who sent nice little Christmas messages. This, of course, will be reposted there as a reel that you can look at. I think that's us done with all of the thank yous. I will see you. But so basically the theme this week is about letting things go and replacing them with new things, with better things. That's the theme. I will be doing a Substack by Saturday. See, I was going to say Thursday. And I thought, be careful. I will definitely have a Substack this week. My newsletter on Thursday will be about that. Have an absolutely awesome, brilliant 2026. Let's do this. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Don't know why I did whoop, whoop, whoop at the end. Stop overreacting to things, Michael. That's another thing you could do.